We have that session in the afternoon where the amendments shall be moved, debated, and voted through the committee of the whole. So proceed to conclude your comments.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that guidance. And I was proceeding, Mr. Speaker, and I believe that I have been reserved the time which has been interrupted by the interventions by the Honorable Member from Laikipia and the Honorable Member Senator Kajwang. Mr. Speaker, I was indicating that pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution and Standing Order 145.5 of this House, we proceeded as a committee.
What is your point of order, Senator Mazayo?
Bwana Spika, asante. Na nataka kusema ya kwamba je, ni sawa kwamba mwenyekiti wa Iebc ingekuwa vizuri ikiwa yeye atakuwa wa mwisho kuweza kuongea baada ya maseneta wote wameweza kuongea, kwa sababu akiongea yeye sasa alafu tena atapata nafasi tena ya kuongea wakati wa mchana, itakuwa si haionekani kama ni jambo zuri sana. Hiyo ni kwamba tu kwa sababu yeye atakuwa na nafasi, atakuwa na muda mrefu wa kuweza kutueleza kisawasawa wakati wa mchana kwa nini analeta haya mageuzi kama haya. Itakuwa ni vyema apatie nafasi maseneta wengine waweze kuongea ili itaonekana katika taratibu iliyo sawa. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Honorable Senator, I made a ruling on that particular issue. The Honorable Senator for Laikipia rose on a point of order on the same issue, and I made a determination on it. The Honorable Kajwang rose on a point of order on the same issue, and I ruled on it. Therefore, you should stand guided by what I've given as a direction. You have to understand that at the end of this contribution, it's not even the chairman who is going to reply. It is the mover who is the majority leader. So these amendments that you are yearning to hear, you're certainly going to hear about this during the afternoon sitting, when the substantive amendment shall be moved, debated, and we shall proceed to vote. We are proceeding on the debate as contained in the order as read by the clerk. Proceed, Senator Sigan, conclude your contribution. You have 2 minutes.
I should actually, Mr. Speaker, I should have utilized less than a minute. So if for purposes of interruption, I've lost a minute, kindly indulge me. I was indicating that on the 9th of December, we published where we invited through a media publication the public to support or to raise issues, petitions, or memoranda on the bill as was published. And Mr. Speaker, we did receive from a number of stakeholders, among them, Mr. Speaker, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, the Council of Governors, National Gender and Equality Commission, County Assembly Forum, Katiba Institute, among others, various considerations, including even Kenyans of goodwill. A gentleman by the name Mr. Eliud Malindi also gave in his support to the issues which had been raised in the bill. Mr. Speaker, we did as a committee proceed. I am aware that I will later on in the afternoon have a session to give a consideration of the amendments the committee is proposing, but it's important to lay the foundation of this session that the committee had. And Mr. Speaker, it was pursuant to what my colleague, the Honorable Senator Okia Omtata Koiti, had filed in petition number E364 of 2020, where the court gave directions or its finding to the extent that the selection panel, as it were, was not constitutional. Among, Mr. Speaker, the issues that the committee received for purposes of consideration were concerns which in the petition, the court made its finding, including one, a reason and the basis to ensure that the selection panel complied with the provisions of Article 27(8) of the Constitution of Kenya on the issue on the 2/3 gender rule. We also did consider the provisions of Section 38 of the Political Parties Act on the element of the representation from the political parties liaison committee, Mr. Speaker, noting that this PPLC is a creation of an act of parliament that comprises concerns which had been raised to include the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission, which is actually a body with which that selection panel will be creating, and also the political parties, where my colleague, Honorable Sifuna, spoke into. And the committee, Mr. Speaker, indeed considered the fact that for purposes of posterity, we must ensure that the selection panel, the membership to that panel, are persons whose interest will be the interest that will be protecting the political class. Mr. Speaker, we had extensive conversations on it, and in the afternoon, of course, I'll be presenting the propositions which ultimately the committee had, and that is where the Honorable Kajwang and the team will have to also support or not support the propositions which we have. Mr. Speaker, the standing committee on the issues which had been presented before it executed the assignment with utmost fidelity, and I must appreciate the members of that committee. And at this stage, Mr. Speaker, I support the second reading of the bill as has been moved by the majority leader, and I stand to support. Thank you.
The Honorable Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also make my comments on this very important bill. Mr. Speaker, election is the greatest risk to this country. And because of that, I think my colleague senators, this House has been known to be a house of reason. It has been known to be a house that engages in bipartisan arrangement whenever we have a matter of importance like this. I want to ask that today let us exercise that by looking at this matter objectively and thinking about the nation and not whichever side we are in. Mr. Speaker, I have looked at the amendments proposed by the Jailer Committee. And I want to agree with the Honorable Senator Sifuna that the process of conducting election is a political process. And that process must be done with the stakeholders in mind. So for the position of the one position for Parliamentary Service Commission, I want to suggest that we enhance it to 2 positions, so that majority side has 1 slot and minority side has 1 slot, and that position we get it from Public Service Commission. Actually, there is no need for Public Service Commission, which conducts the interviews, to again give us a slot. Mr. Speaker, I've also looked at the 2 positions that have been given to Religious Council, and I think we need to be very clear. We either say 1 Muslim and 1 Christian. Because when you say Religious Council, Mr. Speaker, there is no legislation establishing that particular body. So we need to be very clear on what we want to do. And Mr. Speaker, on the issue of LSK, a lot has been said, but I think it is discriminatory to always give Law Society of Kenya a position. What happens to the engineers? What happens to the IT people like me? What happens to teachers? I think it's discriminatory because in any case, we can still get commissioners who are lawyers. Why insist on Law Society of Kenya getting a slot there? That is discriminatory. Mr. Speaker, having said that, we have an opportunity as senators to demonstrate leadership by agreeing on this. And today, it is not an issue of numbers. It is not an issue of competition on numbers. It is an issue of thinking about this country, where we are going to. We know the commission that is going to be chosen is a commission that is going to lead us into the process of boundary review and the election in 2027. We want to get a commission that is acceptable, a commission that is competent, a commission that will unite this country, and not a commission that is going to divide us along party or tribal line. This country needs to move on. And we can only guide this country and move on if we make a good law for posterity, not a law that is going to give someone an edge over the other. We need a law that will be there for a long time to come. This law that we are trying to amend here is a law that we passed in this House during the just before the last election. It is barely 1 year in existence, and we are amending it. And those of us on the other side celebrated when we passed this law. So those senators on the other side, please don't celebrate, because it will come to haunt you in future. So for us as senators, we must ensure that the law we are going to pass today is a law that is going to be there for posterity, and a law that is not going to divide this country. Mr. Speaker, you have heard a lot about elections. There is a conversation outside there about election. I want to say that the president has said he's going to have a commission of inquiry. On this side, we welcome an independent commission of inquiry, because we have a lot we are going to say about this election. So please bring it as soon as possible, and if that commission of inquiry comes with the recommendation, we want the recommendations that are going to change the legal architecture of election in this country.
Senator, your time is up. The Honorable Senator Mantle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the bill that originated from the National Assembly. I think I want to agree with my colleagues who have spoken that we need to employ a bipartisan approach to this very matter. Many times I like referring to the chairman of the Security Committee of the Senate, Senator Chebukati. He always reminds me that when he was chairman of Iebc at the National Assembly, he was not really very, very kind to the Senate. And as fate would have it, is now a member of the Senate, and he really regrets. So I would never want to regret that I participated in legislating a law that in future I will not be proud that I was part of that arrangement. Mr. Speaker, as many of my colleagues have spoken, this is a very, very important selection panel, one of the most important in this country, and it will require a lot of convincing from the chairman of the Iebc committee and his team on why he would want us to limit our powers, limit the powers of the Parliamentary Service Commission in reducing our numbers. Initially there were 4, the proposal was 4, then it went to 2, and then a proposal to have 1 is something that will require a lot of convincing. I think I would want to agree that we need to have 2 from the Parliamentary Service Commission, so that we could have 1 for the majority and 1 for the minority. I would have no problem with that, because I think it is, you know, Mr. Speaker, the second proposal that we have 1 from the leading political parties, the majority and the minority, there was a comment that was made by the leader majority here that senators, my colleagues who are sitting on the government side, I give an example of Senator Kenyua. He joined the Senate as a member of the Jubilee Party, which was the majority, and he left that term as a member of the Jubilee Party from the minority side. He was in the Jubilee Party in the minority side. There were members of the Jubilee Party in the majority side. So, as fate would have it, we would not know what will happen. We only need to legislate and do what is the right thing. So I agree. We should get a member from each of the leading political parties. On religion, Mr. Speaker, I think I would want to disagree with a member who said that the whole matter is political. Despite the fact, the fact of the matter that Iebc will be dealing with making political decisions, I would agree that we need religious players both from all Christianity, Muslims, Hinduism, Buddhist, atheists, all of them. I don't think atheists should be there, but the other religions should be there. In the Bomas of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, you saw the kind of work that was done by the choir. They may not have been doing the political work, but they did a lot of work in reducing tension. So I think we agree we need religious players in the selection panel. Finally, the two that have been proposed to come from the Public Service Commission. I think the Public Service Commission is tasked with ensuring that we get the right people in all public offices. So to have two representatives from the Public Service Commission is also a very good proposal. So, Mr. Speaker, without taking a lot of time, I agree with all my colleagues who are here that our decision on this should be unanimous. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Dulo. Fatuma Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to confirm to the House that I'm a member of JLAC. I sat through actually part of the debate and discussion in the committee. Mr. Speaker, we have a history to this particular legislation. And I remember 2017, we had a joint committee, both sides of the aisle, that looked at amendment to Iebc legislation. And I wish this particular time that should have happened. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, as a committee, we have looked through the amendment that came from National Assembly. And for me, we tried actually looking at how we should increase the numbers, which legally we were advised it was not possible because of the timeline and all other things. Mr. Speaker, we had a debate where actually some of the members were saying we remove one slot from religious institutions and give it to Parliamentary Service Commission. And the practice in this country, Mr. Speaker, is that when it comes to the matters of interfaith, we've always had two slots. One should be given to Christian and one to Muslims. And I categorically said in the meeting that if that position is not carried, I'm going to give a dissenting opinion. And that position still stands, even as far as this amendment is concerned. Mr. Speaker, I have no problem the slot of Public Service Commission to be given to Parliamentary Service Commission for the purpose of balancing. But in our discussion, we agreed on all this. And towards the tail end, some members tried to change their mind, which is okay. But it is also important for us to balance both sides of the aisle. And one of the things this committee did is amendment to political parties, which we took care of both sides. And I think it is important for us to also appreciate the role the committee played. Of course, not everybody will agree, but the committee has done a lot as far as this debate is concerned. Mr. Speaker, I know it is very difficult. It's a really difficult time, but we need to put our heads together and see how we can be able to take the interest of this country before us, instead of looking at political parties or individual interests. Mr. Speaker, I know there is an amendment that is going to come in the afternoon, which we are either going to support or not. But the bottom line is the country to heal. We must heal. We must look at the history and see where we are heading. So it's not important who wins and who loses. The bottom line is how we are going and how we are going to heal this country. Because for years now, this country has been having problems with the stakeholders to various legislation should be cured at the consensus of the speaker level. And I wish the speakers looked at this bill before it came to us, both houses. Because if those issues of stakeholders were resolved at that consensus level, we should not be having loggerhead today that we have before us. And we actually try suspecting each other. So I hope the speaker, since you sit at the consensus level, maybe in future you need to look at the stakeholders as far as bills are concerned when such issues as panel will come up. And I thank you.
Senator Oburu Odinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill which is before us is a very, very important one, Mr. Speaker. It is an important one because, Mr. Speaker, we are a young democracy and we are maturing and we want to mature to be a mature democracy. Mr. Speaker, we don't want our standards of democracy to be compared with our neighbors and with the other countries in Africa. We want our democracy to be the best. We want to be compared with the best in the world. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, when we are talking of the Iebc, it is a very, very crucial tool in the election process, and we must not be partisan. Mr. Speaker, some people have mentioned here that when you make laws, sometimes you make laws thinking that you are on the better side of the divide and therefore you will always be there. But Mr. Speaker, things change and you might be at the other receiving end where you thought you will never be. So Mr. Speaker, when we make the laws, let it be for posterity, let it be for Kenyans, and let it be for improvement of our democratic process in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on this particular bill, I would like to support what is coming in the afternoon here, which is attached to this order paper as amendment proposed by the JLAC. Mr. Speaker, what I would like to comment on is on the inclusion of the Public Service Commission. Mr. Speaker, Public Service Commission is part of the executive, and the executive is also represented here through the majority side. Mr. Speaker, there is really no reason why that one slot should go to the Public Service Commission, and I would have suggested that it goes to the Parliamentary Service Commission, where there's only one slot suggested, so that one slot will go to majority and the other slot goes to the minority, so that it is balanced in that way, the way it has been balanced for the political parties liaison committee, where you have one for the minority and one for the majority side. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would also have liked the religious groups who are proposed to have 2 slots, to have at least one from the Christian community and the other one from the other communities, the other communities, which is Muslim and maybe others, but I think it should be Muslim, specifically Muslim and Christian, and that should be specified in the bill. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say more, but I would have liked a situation where this particular bill is discussed in the Senate in a bipartisan manner, where we don't take partisan positions, but we consider everything that is presented before us here objectively and for posterity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I would like to support the bill. Thank you.
Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. But before I give my submission, I'd want to tell Senator Sifuna the only discussion that we are having together is how to make Kiambu a better bedroom, because you see it is the bedroom of Nairobi, and for him to make an environment for the hawkers and business people and the matatus to work here in Nairobi. Anything to do with orange, the only orange thing I can be associated with is that citrus tennis ball looking fruit called orange. Anything else is not here nor there. Mr. Speaker, as I support the second reading of this proposal, this House is being gracious enough, benevolent enough to share the 2 slots that they were supposed to have and giving one to the Public Service Commission and the other one to the Political Parties Liaison Committee. Mr. Speaker, what I would want us not to do is to even try to come up with a criteria of how these entities are supposed to elect their members. We cannot tell the inter-Christian or inter-religious council how to elect. I think it's a body that understands their mandate. Just the way we are not telling the lawyers, we need wakili wa mashamba, we need a constitutional lawyer, they know who to bring to this panel. And the same thing, we are thinking about the next election, not this election. I don't even understand what the majority or the minority means now, because you don't know the next government that is coming. So all we need is men and women of integrity to be appointed to this panel so that they can have a nice commission that is not partisan. Mr. Speaker, this amendment, I can call it a multi-partisan, it's bringing a multi-partisan panel of people from different sides of political divide. The Parliamentary Service Commission, that's where the politicians are. The Public Service Commission, that's where the workers of the nation are. The Interreligious Council, that's where our faith is. The Law Society of Kenya, that's where the learned friends are. And of course, when it comes to the political parties, Mr. Speaker, and that's why without anticipating debate, I wouldn't be supporting the amendment that will be coming, because, Mr. Speaker, you cannot tell the political parties liaison committee to select the majority and the minority parties there. What about the smallest parties, Mr. Speaker? The Tujibebes of this world, Tujiweke and all those parties, Mr. Speaker. We need them also to vote and have a voice. Because if you say the majority people, I always say here in this assembly, Mr. Speaker, in this Senate, Mr. Speaker, I have the majority votes in this Senate from the Kenya Kwanza side. Honorable Sifuna, the majority votes from the Azimio side. But you only have 1 vote. Otherwise, if you want them to bring somebody here so that the majority can be voting, then I should have 3 or 4 votes in this Senate, Mr. Speaker. 1 man, 1 vote. So that one should be kept in their mind when they're selecting their members. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy when I see my good friend, Senator Osotsi, talking about the formation of the Commission of Inquiry. Mr. Speaker, the government is going to do that. The government is going to do that. You know, we formed a formation of inquiry of the Cherera 4, and they advised them to resign, not to speak to this inquiry. Now they're asking for the inquiry, Mr. Speaker. That inquiry will come because we want to make sure that this country will have the best election that will be emulated by other nations. And Mr. Speaker, we'll be bringing more amendments. We'll be bringing more amendments in the election law, because we do not also want Iebc to be moving on their own motion, not to clear certain candidates, Mr. Speaker. We have to bring that amendment so that we make sure that they cannot deny anybody a chance to run by their own motion what the lawyer says, suo moto. I support the second amendment.
The Honorable Senator for Laikipia, and as you contribute, the Honorable Senator Enoch Wamboa, who is online, should be ready to contribute after the Senator for Laikipia.
Asante Bwana Spika kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza kabisa nasimama kuunga mkono na kusema ya kwamba ni vizuri hili jopo la uteuzi lilivyotengenezwa, Bwana Spika. Na Bwana Spika, nikiangalia naona ya kwamba vile ambavyo liliko ni lizuri kabisa. Bwana Spika, ukweli wa mambo ni ya kwamba wakati wote sheria ambayo inahusu uchaguzi inapoletwa inashughulikiwa, kumekuwa na vurugu na mvutano, lakini kwa wakati huu Bwana Spika, nina furaha kwa sababu tutaongea kwa amani bila vurugu na kuelewana, kwa sababu hizi sheria za uchaguzi zinahusu wa Kenya wote. Na nimesikia maseneta wenzangu, nikimsikiza Seneta Ototi akisema ya kwamba kuna wale ambao hawapaswi kuwa kiangaliwa zaidi, wale wanapaswa kuwa kiangaliwa ni vyama. Lakini nikimwambia kwamba watu wote wana sehemu katika uchaguzi, kwa sababu uchaguzi si wanasiasa wenyewe peke yake wale ambao wanashughulikia siasa, kwa sababu wakati wa kupiga kura hata wale ambao ni watu wa kanisa, wale ambao ni wafanyikazi wa umma wana lile jukumu ya kupiga kura na wanafanya uamuzi, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri kila mtu ahusishwe, na mimi nasimama kuunga mkono na kusema ya kwamba hii sehemu moja ambayo imepatiwa hawa ambao ni watume ya utumishi wa umma, wale wabaki pale, kwa sababu wale ndio wanajua mambo ya kusema kisheria, hasa nikisema kuhusu professionalism, wale ndio ambao watashughulikia zaidi. Na nimesikiza ndugu zangu wakisema ya kwamba ati hii ni sehemu ya serikali. Bwana Spika, watumishi wa umma wale si utawaweka kwa serikali hii au hii, kwa sababu wale wanafanya na serikali iliyoko, na hata japokuwa nilisikia akisema ati wanapoteuliwa, wakiteuliwa na rais ni mpaka waletwe katika bunge, na bunge lenyewe lina usemi, wanaweza kukataa ama kukubali. Kwa hivyo bunge lina usemi katika sehemu ile. Bwana Spika, ile ambavyo imetengenezwa kusema ya kwamba kuwe na watu katika tume ya bunge, mtu mmoja, mwanaume mmoja na mwanamke mmoja, mimi naunga mkono 100% Bwana Spika. Na vile vile Bwana Spika, utumishi wa umma ni mpaka washughulikiwe. Mahali ambapo nina tashwishi Bwana Spika ni hawa wanasheria. Kila mahali kukitajwa katika serikali ama katika sheria, unapata ni mpaka hawa wanasheria watajwe. Ile tume ya wanasheria ni mpaka watajwe kila mahali Bwana Spika. Swali ni hili. Kwa hivyo naona Senator Okongo Mugeni akisema pana ni mpaka waangaliwe kwa sababu yeye ni mwanasheria. Naona Steward Wamazeo akisema mpaka ni waangaliwe ni wanasheria. Lakini Bwana Spika, ninaona Karongo Wadhangwa hapa ambaye si mwanasheria, na yeye ataangaliwa wakati gani? Bwana Spika, ni vizuri hata badala ya kusema watu wa kutoka LSK waangaliwe, Bwana Spika, pengine wangesema mwanasheria tu, ndiposa hata wale wangesema mwanasheria tu ndio hata wao waweze kuangaliwa. Bwana Spika, wale ambao ni wachungaji ama our religious organization, Bwana Spika, nimesikia wengine wakisema ati ni mpaka tuzingatie na tuseme zaidi kusema ati mmoja awe ni Muislamu na yule mwingine awe ni Mkristiano. Lakini Bwana Spika, hakuna haja sisi kusema hayo yote kwa sababu wao wenyewe wanajua vile ambavyo wanapaswa kufanya. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, mimi nitafuatilia hii na nasema naunga mkono Bwana Spika, kwa sababu sheria hizi ndizo zitakazosaidia uendelezi tukiendelea mbele.
Enoch Wambua, is he online? Can we proceed, Senator Enoch Wambua, to make your contribution? Do we have some technical challenge, Clerk, so that we skip and move to the next senator?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, proceed, Senator Enoch. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and sorry for that technical hitch. I hope I can be heard now. Mr. Speaker, am I
Senator
audible?
Enoch, kindly put your camera on. We need to see where you are. And you know you need to be dressed appropriately.
Mr. Speaker, I want to do that, but the network will not sustain that.
You may not be able to proceed without the camera on,
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
because we need to know your location and how you're dressed. Proceed.
No, Mr. Senator Kenya, what is the problem? Can I proceed? Can I make a contribution? Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by saying that this is a very important bill that is on the floor of the Senate. And Mr. Speaker, if it can be heard.
Senator Enoch Wamboa,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
you are not properly dressed. You know,
this is a Kenyan dress. This is a flag of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wamboa, the mere fact that there's a flag on what you are described as your top, it does not meet the dress code as required by the standards of the Senate. You may be proceeding maybe to a soccer pitch.
Okay,
So I'm
Speaker,
afraid you may not proceed. I'm afraid, Senator Wamboa, you may not be able to proceed to make your contribution because you're not dressed appropriately for the House. So, Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to make my comments. One, Honorable Speaker, we make laws for posterity. And this particular law, it is good that it has come at the beginning of the term of this parliament, because if it comes towards a campaign period, you know, the temperatures are very high. So I believe we are going to debate soberly and agree on issues. Honorable Speaker, on the Public Service Commission nominee, we know Public Service Commission are the experts in terms of HR issues in the country. I believe it's very important that we get somebody, we get a nominee from Public Service Commission in that selection panel to guide and help so that we don't eventually appoint people to Iebc Commission like the four who almost banned the country, Honorable Speaker. It's important that we get people who of integrity who will interview and vet properly. Honorable Speaker, on the one position for Parliamentary Service Commission, I believe it is important that we have two, so that the minority side produce one and the majority side produce one. The Law Society of Kenya, they are not very important here, Honorable Speaker, because even in the laws that we passed in the National Assembly in the last Parliament, everywhere they say you have to a lawyer. Why can't we remove the nominee from Law Society of Kenya, put on Parliamentary Service Commission, and then we put a rider that one of them must be a lawyer to take care of lawyers if we need legal expertise in this election panel, Honorable Speaker. So this is what I believe needs to be done. Honorable Speaker, on interreligious, we know we are the country is 80% Christians and then 20% the others. We should not specify. We give them the opportunity, the leeway to choose. Maybe this time they choose a Catholic or a Protestant, and the next time a Muslim or an Hindu to represent the interreligious in this particular selection panel. The problem that we have in the country, Honorable Speaker, is actually not the commissioners or the selection panel. The issue is we don't accept elections. People don't accept when they're debated. It is good. If you don't win, you accept and move on. Because we are 67 in this house, 47 elected senators. There are many who contested and lost, and they are accepted. The issue is at the top, the president's level. People don't accept. Iebc have embraced technology. The reason why we have a president currently, it is because of technology. If there was no technology, those who went to Bomas of Kenya, they would have changed the results. But we had the results way before. It was very difficult for anybody to manipulate and announce or declare somebody who had not gotten the votes. It's because of technology. Iebc have embraced technology, and this is the way to go. In fact, eventually, if it is possible, in the course of the term of this parliament, the parties we need to also encourage the parties to use technology when they're doing their primaries, because there are many issues across all the political divides when it comes to primaries of political parties towards a general election. Honorable Speaker, mine is just to say, let us debate soberly, let us agree, and I propose that the chair of CHELAC, Honorable Sigei, if there are amendments that you're going to bring in the afternoon, you can drop the nominee from LSK and move it to Parliamentary Service Commission, and I believe members will agree, so long as we put a writer that that particular member, one of them, to be a lawyer, to give maybe legal advice during the selection panel as they maybe appoint or interview commissioners of IEBC. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Senator Okongo Mogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to make a contribution on this very important bill. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm really saddened by the attack, the spirited attack I've seen in the House this morning and part of the afternoon against lawyers, more particularly Law Society of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, people are talking as if they don't know the history of this country. Law Society has been in the thick of things. It's Law Society that fought for multi-party democracy in this country, Mr. Speaker. How can we sit here attacking Law Society of Kenya the whole morning as if we don't know about the history of this country? Mr. Speaker, the Law Society of Kenya, I want to inform the honorable members, is a statutory body created by an act of parliament. I mean, look at the mandate of Law Society.
What is your point of order, Senator Boni?
And your son is a lawyer.
I don't wish to interrupt my colleague, who I respect very much. But just because we want to have a clear record of proceedings for posterity, may the record show that the people who fought for the second liberations was not limited to Law Society alone. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I was in the struggle from the age of 22 at the University of Nairobi up to until we had succeeded. Could he withdraw the fact that it was only Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, sir?
Mr. Speaker, I thought doctors normally listen carefully. And when I was, so I'm surprised that Senator Boni Khalwale does not seem to be listening keenly. I said Law Society was in the forefront. I've not said you are not in the forefront. I've said that history bears me witness that Law Society has been in the forefront. So, Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time Law Society of Kenya is participating as a panelist in picking commissioners for IEBC. Mr. Speaker, when I was the chair of Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, LSK was given slots. Under my chairmanship, we picked nominees that picked the commissioners that reformed IEBC. So, Mr. Speaker, let's appreciate the fact that Law Society is a very key professional body in this country. Law Society has been in the forefront, even defending people who have fought for human rights in this country. And the best way we should recognize, Mr. Speaker, that role is by giving them 2 slots, not even 1. We should give them 2, 1 woman, 1 man. Instead of packing these nominees with Public Service Commission, why do we want to pack Public Service Commission as panelists in picking panelists who are going to interview our IEBC commissioners? Mr. Speaker, the best way to approach this matter is to allow non-partisan professional bodies, civil society. In fact, during that time when we were given slots at Law Society, we had the Association of Professional Societies of East Africa sending a nominee. The Advisory Board of Anti-Corruption was sending a nominee. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope Senator Kinyua is listening, that Law Society is not an animal that you need to demonize. When the system will come for you, it will at some stage, you will run to the same Law Society of Kenya to defend you. So you should be here acknowledging the good work, the good contribution that the Law Society of Kenya has made to this country. So I want to persuade my colleague senators, please, this is a law you are making for posterity. This law will not just serve these the commissioners that are being picked now. It is for posterity. So don't, please, I appeal to you, don't remove Law Society of Kenya. In fact, what we should do, as I've urged, is to have 2 representatives, not 1, 2. Yes, and I'm happy that even Senator Mungatana is in support of this proposition. And Mr. Speaker, you know you are also a lawyer, Mr. Speaker. You are a lawyer. Eh? When we fight for expansion of democracy as Law Society of Kenya, we are applauded. But when we are being given a small slot, just a small slot to be panelists.
What is your point of order,
demonized.
Senator Kinyua? Really?
Bwana Spika, si kusema ya kwamba Bwana Spika ati mimi nadharau hili jopo la wanasheria, lakini nilisema Bwana Spika, nchi yetu ya Kenya ina watu wengi ambao wameshughulikia katika kazi nyingine. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Senator Okongo Omogeni kusema ya kwamba sasa hata hilo jopo liongezewe watu wengine kwa sababu wewe ni mwanasheria, kwa Kenya wataona ya kwamba wewe Bwana Spika tayari unawapendelea wengine Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo nilitaka tu Bwana Spika kuwa upande wako ndio usije ukaonekana unapendelea wengine. Sisi hatuna shida na wanasheria Bwana Spika, kwa sababu wao ndio tunatutetea wakati tuko na shida katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, lakini wazingatie Wakenya wengine ambao si wanasheria.
What is your point of order? I've not gotten it. Kindly proceed, Senator Mogeni, to conclude your contribution. I think you had 19 seconds.
Yes. So Mr. Speaker, the other point I wanted to make, Mr. Speaker, is that because this is bipartisan, we want both sides of the political divide to be represented. The Parliamentary Service Commission, Mr. Speaker, should be given 2 slots so that we have a slot reserved for the majority side and 1 for the minority side. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order, understanding order number 109. Considering the debate, Mr. Speaker, and the contributions from members, and the time that we have, Mr. Speaker, I wish to request that you call the mover of the motion to reply, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, the Honorable Senator Mandago has made, through his contribution, he has requested that indeed, due to the time constraints, because as you're aware, we need to conclude business by 12:30, that the chair calls the mover to reply. I'll proceed to put the question. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The mover proceed to reply, please.
Mr. Speaker, you know, this is one of the standing orders we need to amend. Because, you know, people like Senator Kajwang have the voice, have the sound of 2 people. So he voted on behalf of 2 people. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, apologies to my colleagues. And you know that we've been here since 10 o'clock. Even I'd have it, if Senator Kajwang was here when I made the moving notes, he will have known that I did it in a record 4 minutes because I wanted to, as much as possible. No. Actually, I think 3 minutes, if I'm not wrong. I wanted to, as much as possible, afford the opportunity to every senator to speak and share their opinion. The real debate, though, because I've listened to people say, there's this debate about LSK. I hear Senator Kinyua wants to propose that we deny LSK and give it to members of his professional association. I think that Touts Association of Kenya And whatever, the decision will be made in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker. So I want to humbly request our colleagues, Mr. Speaker, that but Omtata should have been here at 10 in the morning when we first made these orders. I'm sure he will have an opportunity in the afternoon. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleagues for speaking to the motion, those who have had a chance. I've listened to others make a case for interreligious council. Others prefer that we reduce the other one. We will have that conversation during the committee of the whole, Mr. Speaker. When people file their amendments and perhaps share them with us, then we will be convinced on what we need to do. Otherwise, thank you, members, for participating. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I beg to reply. Thank you.
Honourable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 263, I do make a determination that the voting will be by roll call in view of the hybrid sitting. I therefore call upon the Sergeant at Arms to ring the division bell for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Sergeant at Arms, kindly close the doors and proceed to draw the bar. Who for? The lady for? Honourable Senators, can we take our seats, please? Honourable Senators, Senator Shakila Abdallah, you're out of order. Kindly take your seat. Honourable Senators, I now proceed to put the question that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 49 of 2022, be now read a second time. The yes side You have nominated Lelegwe, Senator Lelegwe, as your teller. Is that the position? Yes. And the nay side nominated, who is the tailor for? Who is the tailor for the nay side? Shakila, Senator Shakila. Who is it Senator Shakila, or kindly proceed to the dispatch? So, clerk, you may now proceed with the division.
Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed, Wajir County. Senator Adan Dulo Fatuma, Isiolo County.
I vote yes.
Senator Boy Isa Juma, Kwale County. Senator Cherarke Samson, Nandi County. Senator Cheriot Aaron, Kericho County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Chesang Alan Kiprotich, Trans Nzoia County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Chute Mohammed Said, Marsabit County. Senator Ekomwa James Romenen, Turkana County.
I vote yes.
Senator Haji Abdul Mohammed, Garissa County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Kajwang Moses Otieno, Homa Bay County.
I vote yes.
Senator Kamau Joseph Githuku, Lamu County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Kathuri Murungi, Meru County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Keroche Thabita Karanja, Nakuru County. Senator Halwale Boni, Kakamega County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Kipkoril William Cheptumo, Baringo County. Senator Kisang William Kipkemoi, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Senator Kisang William Kipkemoi, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Senator Lelewe Steve Tumbesi, Samburu County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Maanzo Daniel, Makueni County. Senator Mazayo Stewart, Kilifi County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Mandago Jackson, Uasin Gishu County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Medhu John, Nyandarua County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Mogeni Okongo, Nyamira County.
Mr. Speaker, Nyamira votes yes.
Senator Mundigi Alexander, Embu County. Senator Mungatana Danson, Tana River County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Murango James, Kirinyaga County. Senator Mudhama Agnes Kavindu, Machakos County. Senator Mwaruma Jones, Taita Taveta County. Senator Mwenda Gataya Mofaya, Tharaka-Nithi County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki, Mombasa County. Senator Nderitu John Kinyua, Laikipia County.
Mr. Speaker, Laikipia votes yes.
Senator Nyutu Joe, Murang'a County.
Senator Veronica Maina, kindly proceed to approach the chair, please. Yeah. Just proceed as I try to do some housekeeping.
Senator Ojenda Tom, Kisumu County.
I obviously vote yes.
What is obviously?
Senator Oginga Oburu, Siaya County. Senator Okech Eddy Gisheru, Migori County. Senator Okoiti Omtata, Busia County. Senator Olekina Ledama, Narok County. Senator Onyonka Richard, Kisii County. Senator Ososi Godfrey, Vihiga County.
I vote yes.
Senator Recha Julius Murgol, West Pokot County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Robert Ari Ibrahim, Mandera County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Seki Lenku, Kajiado County.
Yes.
Senator Sifuna Edwin, Nairobi County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Senator Thangwa Paul Karungo, Kiambu County.
I vote yes.
Senator Wafula David Wakoli, Bungoma County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Wakili Hirar Sigei, Bomet County.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I vote yes.
Senator Wamatinga Wahome, Nyeri County. Senator Wambua Enoch Kiyo, Kitui County. Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohamed Wajir County, Senator Boy Isa Juma, Kwale County, Senator Cherargei Samson, Nandi County, Senator Chute Mohamed, Marsabit County, Senator Keroche Tabitha Karanja, Nakuru County, Senator Kipukorir William Cheptumo, Baringo County, Senator Kisang William Kipkemoi, Elgeyo Marakwet County,
Elgeyo Marakwet County, 40 yes.
Senator Manso Daniel, Makueni County, Senator Mundigi Alexander Munyi, Embu County,
Embu County, yes.
Senator Murango James Kamau, Kirinyaga County, Senator Mudhama Agnes Kavindu, Machakos County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes with the amendments, and we were to also to contribute. So in the afternoon, I hope we'll be given the opportunity to contribute.
Senator, just vote and take your seat.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Senator Mwaruma Jones, Taita Taveta County, Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki, Mombasa County, Senator Nyutu Joe, Murang'a County, Senator Oginga Oburu, Siaya County, Senator Okech Edi Gisheru, Migori County, Senator Okoit Andrew Omtata, Busia County, Senator Orekina Ledama, Narok County, Senator Onyonka Richard, Kisii County, Senator Wamatinga Wahome, Nyeri County, and Senator Wambua Enoch Kiyo, Kitui County.
Honorable members, you need to understand that the House is still very much in session. And Senator, Professor, you don't just cross as if you're from one bedroom to the other. You know the rules of the House, Professor. Kindly proceed to bow. And Honorable Senators, the voting is now complete and the results are in as follows. The ayes, 29, noes, 0, abstentions, 0. So the ayes have it. Clerk, proceed to read the bill a second time.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act and for connected purposes.
Honorable Senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until today, 19th January 2023 at 2:30 p.m. I thank you, Honorable Senators.